So we conclude our discussion on channel mixer at a point, and now we are at color lookup. There's not much to do here, really. You can import, if you select abstract, you can import some .icc file for your own custom color lookups, or you can link to device or something else for your own custom lookup. But here are the default color lookups that we have here. You begin with this. So basically, color lookups help you select. You don't do much in terms of creating anything basically, but it does something though. Let me see it. Let's open let's open something we did at the very first course, first video, if I remember very well. You know what, let's open up this simple artwork we made at the first video of this course. Now if I add a color lookup here, you see I get some interesting look. Some, like, your artwork gets a whole new look, and that's what you can use color lookup for, just to give your artwork, tie everything together. The thing is, color lookup balances all the colors of your artwork depending on which one you decide to use, but your artwork will be color balanced. I'm not referring to color balance in terms of these, in terms of color balance here, although you can come here to color balance and actually balance the look you would have got, a kind of look for your entire artwork that you would have gotten with a color lookup. But color lookup is just a set of already balanced values or already balanced color tones for you that you can just go there, pick and choose and move on. So you see, I can easily convert my artwork into something exciting and interesting. If this were something with more colors, now this would have been interesting. So you know what, I'm just gonna leave this artwork. I'm gonna save it on this one, that is Foggy Night. But then I'll show us the other ones and come back to the Foggy Night. You know, now wow, and I like this one. This is interesting. So that's what I do with color lookup. I'm showing you this because this is the way I use color lookup. I finish my artwork, then if I want, if I deem it necessary, or sometimes I just come here and try out all of these different color lookup settings, and I see if there's something interesting and I use it. Of course, you can do this if the brand you're working for at the moment, the brand that employs you, has given you colors to work with. Then you can come to color lookups and tie things together this way. But where you have the freedom to use colors as you like, you can do this. Finish your artwork and then come here and see if you can tie things together in a very interesting way. If you observe, or just if you observe very well, that not only is color lookup mixing your color tones, it's also affecting contrast of the values of your colors. So contrast is also being affected here. So I think I like this one. I stumbled upon, not that one, that one's just back to the original. I like this one, and I like that Foggy Night for this particular artwork. And I think if I want to create this is up, so I think I should have a brighter mode. This is rather dark mode. You know what, so let's come back to this. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it here, and I'm gonna save this work here. And I'm gonna go back to my discussion of color lookup. But I hope that well, what we just did with that artwork as demonstrated, color lookup for us. Let me open another artwork. I think I have some names I can open here. Something I did with a student, just as a quick introduction to his own class. This is a personal class. Sorry for showing you this. Maybe just this design 3. How about that? So good. So let's try kudos to Lagos State Sport Commission. Let me just hide that logo there because I don't want them arresting me or something for using their logo without paying. So I think every other thing is cool. Okay, good. So let's use a color lookup on this just to demonstrate again how I use a color lookup, and something I think you should try out in using color lookups. So I'm just gonna try different ones here and get different interesting effects. You think this is all too contrasted or too lightened, but this can be something interesting. This speaks, this can communicate if that's what you're trying to go for. Look at that, I've got something, another interesting look just with one click. So I like to call this a one-click designer. That's the way I introduce that to my students, my physical classes. So you come here, you click, you do, just with one click you're able to like design something. So this is why I use color lookup, and I encourage you to try that out. Yeah, this is like my absolute favorite. I use this a lot. Foggy night. Let me see what that tea orange does. I think for this one, foggy night wins. Of course, I didn't try others. So that's what color lookup can do for your artwork. From this is good. This is interesting. All right, and boom, you can get this really energetic look. Now there are some effects in After Effects, and also there's not some, I call it some because it's a bundle. There's a particular effect called Polarize. It's available in After Effects and it's also available on Premiere Pro, and I think Polarize does the same thing for this on those two, on After Effects and Premiere Pro, what color lookup does here. So that's, if you're familiar with Premiere Pro and you use Polarize, then you understand what we're doing with color lookup here. So I'm going to move on from color lookup now. Go to invert. So that's what that does. No settings, no nothings, no option. You want to invert your colors. Basically, you take every color you have and you solarize it, sort of. I think this is solarize inverse. There are a lot of other inverse, but I don't know why Photoshop has given us just this one option when we're using inverse. Basically, you take every color and you just negative it. Mathematically, that's what's going on. You take a white color that is 255. I think that's the highest value of white in the RGB color space. You take a 255 white and you make it maybe I think a 0. Yeah. So basically, it's just the reverse of every color, and beyond that, I think we're in the negative region here. I'm not going to talk much about the mathematics because I'm trying to keep this course simple and very practical rather than technical. So that's why I've shied away from talking a lot of mathematics here. And honestly, some of this mathematics I don't know myself. So right now, let's move on to Polarize. So at the value of 2 here, I'm sure there's a reason why this begins at 2. Probably the algorithm requires that this begins at 2. That's fine. At the value of 2 you can get this. Anyway, what I use this for, I don't use this a lot to begin with, but what I use this for is if I'm trying to create a watercolor effect, sort of, maybe a watercolor effect, I can do that. Let me just do a quick example of what I mean by that. Let's duplicate this background layer, this original picture, by tapping on Ctrl J. Let me slide this, bring it up. Now I'm going to select the 2 layers and just hold Ctrl Shift W. No, that's not what that's going to do. Ctrl Shift, sorry, I didn't intend to bring that up. Hold on. Oh wow, I think I just closed everything I was doing. Okay, so let's just duplicate that. I've duplicated that, but I'm going to do that duplicate again now. If you notice, my layers have changed. That's because something happened with my system and I had to pause that recording, and I had to open up a new project to continue this particular explanation. Notice I still have all the other things opened, but the particular project or document I was working on failed, and I don't know why that happened. Anyways, so let's just I'm going to do a Ctrl E on that again. Let me just show what I did again, because there are 2 ways I could have done that. I could have just select the pasteurize layer and then blend that into my image using overlay, a lighter color. Basically, this lighter region will give me what I'm looking for mostly, so I'm just going to stay in that, and I'm going to stay in that region. So if I was trying to create a scene of this nature that looks all painted in, maybe, I think this is more of a oil color paint though, not watercolor paint. Yeah, I'm going to show us watercolor paint later in this course when I talk about filters here. Well, I think this is more of a oil color paint or something, I don't know, but this looks to me like a painting, and sometimes when I try to create an effect like this, I use that Polarize and I just blend it in, or sometimes, yeah, I think blending would do the same thing I was trying to do before. There's no need for this anymore. So I'm going to hide that Polarize layer there and go to threshold. Now this is what happens when you add threshold layer. Now sliding this, we reveal, you go more white, and basically if this were a picture with more contrast and you don't have things looking alike a lot, then you can continue to reveal more, just losing some of that black and gaining more of outlines. And that's actually what I use it for. That's basically what I use this part for, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do with it right here, right now. And again, later when I talk about selections, I'm going to show you again. I'm going to demonstrate it again, but quickly I'm going to demonstrate what I do with threshold now. So this is what you get with threshold. This is not even black and white, definitely not black and white, but this is what you get. So a way I use this is to create in creating custom brushes. I use this, and if you go back to my custom brushes video, or if you go back to the brushes video where we learn about brushes and I showed you how to create brushes, if you haven't watched that video, it's fine, I'm going to demonstrate it here again right now. So if you go to that video, you notice I have used threshold there, and I've showed us what I wanted to show. But then the next thing I'm going to do is duplicate that layer, because now it is important that I do that. And then first of all, I'm going to come back here to threshold and get a better outline of the construction environment. Yeah, I like how I like this region, and I like how that line shows. I think this is a better outline of this construction environment. Now I'm going to select these two layers by holding shift and just selecting them and clicking on each layer, and I'm going to use Ctrl E to merge them. Then I come to select color range and select that black region there. Of course, if I select white, I'll lose all that black region there, and that's going to create that selection for me right there. And if I come to edit, define brush preset, and I write construction, I would have created a construction brush. So I decided to go through everything just to show you what I do with threshold, and that is how I use the threshold adjustment layer. That's what I use it for basically, but I'm sure you can find other uses for it. And one of the things you can do with that threshold layer is right now I'm going to demonstrate it. Now that I've created this this layer, you know what, I don't even need to match them to create that layer. Just let's put that threshold. So if I come here and I solid layer, say blue, because I love blue. You know what, let's make it a dark blue, and I blend that in. I can get something interesting like that. So that's something I use it for again. That's another thing I use it for, but mostly I like to define it as brushes, and then I just use the brush to fill that in on any layer I want, because that gives me more control. Alright, so let's move on from that. I think yeah, that explains what threshold does. Gradient map. Yeah, let's explain this one. Let me just go through this. Now, by default you're gonna get this black and white gradient map. You can choose other gradients. Say I'm just gonna go through this gradient here, some of this gradient, and that will demonstrate what I use it for, or how to use it basically. Import that or reverse the gradient, but I don't want to reverse the gradient. But again, now I think there was a time I showed us how to do something like that. I don't know which of the I can't remember which of the videos again, but this is another way to create this kind of this effect is called, this is a duotone. So now, using a gradient map, you can quickly create a duotone. There are times when you want to, especially when you're creating a corporate brochure, or I've seen this done on corporate brochures where you use duotones just to create some interesting effect and add some class to your work. I've seen this also used in TV a lot. So the applications of a duotone are limitless basically, especially if you're trying to create if you have a clientele that has an appreciation for very artful artwork. Yeah, I've had clients tell me, I want make it artful, make it edgy. Most times I do all of this really interesting effects that I can get using the adjustment layers for such client. And some of the things I do for them, or one of the things I do, is this duotone, and I've had clients appreciate it when I do duotone for them a lot. Of course, I can change that duotone to something else. I can come to oranges, but I don't think that's going to be as interesting. Okay, so basically what I do really is to use the client's brand brand colors to create a custom gradient, and then I use that gradient as a gradient map, and then I'm able to get a duotone this way. But a duotone is not the only thing you can do. If I blend this in, I'm no longer going to have a duotone, but I'm going to have an interesting color, an interesting effect. As a matter of fact, you can even use duotone for that for that mood light I was showing us earlier in this section. You can use duotone to get that effect too. So I'm just scrubbing through this without actually selecting any, so we can see how some of those effects we can get. I like this one. I like creating edgy works like this, something losing pasteurized, soft, not so colorful. I like such works. Alright, so I think there's just one to go, selective color. Alright, so we can there's not a lot of red, so let's just do yellow here. The effect here is gentle, but notice how I'm removing the yellows. So you can also create some interesting look with selective color. Of course, you can enter into the max and edit that, but I like to do that straight from here and just max options and do some things. So I'll enjoy you to come to adjustment layers and be very creative, be adventurous, go wild, play with it as much as you want, and learn as much, because that's how you learn. You learn by practice. So we have come to the end of this really long session on adjustment layer, but I do hope you've learned a couple of things. You picked up a couple of new skills. If you're used to Photoshop before, I hope you've picked up new things you can do with or you now have a new appreciation for adjustment layers. And if you're a total beginner, which this course is really this course is really meant for, then now you know you can create some of those interesting looks you've been seeing on images or artworks out there. Thank you very much for watching this. We'll be looking at another interesting area in Photoshop in our next video. So go check that out.